Hi there, I'm Dr. Yusuf Noor from Shafi Academy. Today, I would like to teach you how to find the equation of perpendicular lines. So let us start. Equation of perpendicular lines. Learning objectives recognize perpendicular lines and be able to write the equation of a perpendicular line. Equation of a perpendicular line. What are perpendicular lines? Two lines are perpendicular if they make an angle of 90 degrees. So if you look this symbol and rectangle, this top line there and this line are perpendicular because they make an angle of 90 degrees. Same applies to square. Square is another shape that has got perpendicular lines, perpendicular sides, so those two are perpendicular. So in geometry we say two lines are perpendicular if they meet at a right angle. If they got a right angle, then they are perpendicular. But in this course we are learning algebra, so we need to see how two perpendicular lines are related in algebra. So let's start. Before I go to algebra, I'm going to remind you a very basic concept from arithmetic, which is the concept of reciprocal of a number, because we need it later. Okay, so I got here 4 numbers and I got here their reciprocals. I want you to stop the video and match them using that table. Okay, I think you have done, so let's do together. Those are 4 numbers and the reciprocal of 1 is 1. The reciprocal of 2 is 1 over 2. The reciprocal of 3, we flip the fraction, 3 over 2. And the reciprocal of 3 is 1 divided by 3. So, what's the reciprocal? Well, the reciprocal of n in number, is 1 over n. So if I give you 7 and ask you what is the reciprocal of 7, you write down 1 over 7. And if I ask you what's the reciprocal of 9, you write down 1 over 9. Okay? So that's the concept of reciprocal. We'll use it later. But let us go and see how two lines are related in algebra. I got here 2 lines. Okay? A blue line and a red line. Okay? To be able to investigate and see how they are related, we need to find the equation of both of them. And as we have seen before, the general equation of a line we can write down as y equals mx plus c. Y equals mx plus c. Okay, where m is the gradient and the c is intercept. So what is the intercept of this red line? Well, the intercept, I'm going to write down c of that red line is just 1. And what is? It is gradient. To be able to find the gradient, we need to see how many steps we need to take across and how many steps we need to take up or down. So if I take 1 step across, I need to go 1 step down to find the graph again. 1 step down, 1 step, 1 step down, which simply means in the y direction I need to go down by 1, and in the x direction I need to take 1. If you add those two together, you got minus 1. You got minus 1. Okay? Now, what is the equation now? What is the equation? The equation is y equals intercept, which is minus 1, plus the gradient, which is minus 1, plus the intercept, which is 1. So that's the red line. Now, the blue line, we need to do exactly the same. Okay? Let us start with the intercept of the blue line. The blue line has got the intercept of 1, exactly the same as the other. What about this gradient? You know, the gradient is here. 1 goes that way, 1 up. 1 goes this way, 1 up. So the gradient is, in the y direction I need to take 1 for each 1 step to the x direction. And that gives me an equation of, again, 1 plus 1 this time. Now, those two lines, if you look at them, they've got an angle of 90 degrees. Because look, this is half of 90 degrees. And this makes half of this 90 degrees. 45 at 45 makes 90 degrees. So we found that the first one has got minus x plus 1 and x plus 1. Let's take another pair. And then we analyze what we got. Here I got another pair. Okay. Let me start with the blue line if you want it. It doesn't matter which one you start it. So the blue line has got an intercept of, the blue line has got an intercept of 5. And it's got a gradient of, let us see, the gradient of, if you stand there and you go 1 this way, is a half. let us take 2 steps. If we take 2 steps this way, we're going down by 1. If we take 2 steps across, we are going down by 1. Going down means negative. So I'm going down by 1, and x direction I'm going by 2. What the equation will be now? The equation will be minus half x plus 5. That is what the equation is for that blue line. What about the red line? Let's change the color of the point. Okay. For the red line, the intercept is here, so the intercept is 1. So for the red line, the intercept is 1. What about its gradient? Let's take steps. If I take 1 step there, I need 2 steps up. 1 step there, 2 steps up, which simply means the gradient in y direction is 2 steps for each 1 direction in the x. So simple is 2. So the equation will be y equals 2x plus 1. Now, let us compare, for example, the intercepts. Here, the 2 intercepts, they are same. But if you look here, the intercept, one of them is 5, one of them is 1. So there's no relationship between the 2 intercepts. But when it comes to the gradient, let us see what we found here. Here I got that, let us say m1, the gradient of the first one is minus 1. And the gradient of the second one is 1. And here I found that the gradient of the first one is, for example, minus half. And the second one, m, is 2. How are 2 and minus half related? And how are 1 and minus 1 related? Well, if you still remember, forget about the minus. 2 and half, what are they? They are reciprocal of each other. That's why we introduced the concept of reciprocal before. So 2 and half, they are reciprocal, and 1 and 1, they are reciprocal. Because 2 and half are reciprocal, and we got minus before it, we say m1 and m2, let's say m2 here. One is the negative reciprocal of the other one, and exactly that is how 2 lines are related in algebra. Perpendicular lines are related in algebra. So this is what we say. We say the gradient of perpendicular lines are negative reciprocal of each other. If the gradient of one of the lines is m, the gradient of a perpendicular line is minus 1 and m. So this is what it is. The gradient of perpendicular lines are negative reciprocal of each other. If the gradient of one of the lines is m, the gradient of the perpendicular line is minus 1 and m. So for example, if one of them is 2, the other one is minus 1 over 2. If the one is 5, the other one is minus 1 over 5. Amazing. So this simply helps us to find the gradient of a line. The same way as we find the gradient of parallel lines, which were seen before, as we have seen before. Okay, now let me see if you can do this now. Line and its perpendicular line. Here I go 4 and gradient of a line, and here I got 4 gradient of lines which are perpendicular to those 4 lines. Let me see if you can find which pair are perpendicular, so you can match them. Stop the video and match them. Fine, I think we have done. Let's take the 4 lines first. Here we are. So if a line is perpendicular to a line with a gradient of 4, what will its gradient be? Well, it will be the negative reciprocal, which is minus 1 over 4. So a line with a gradient of 4 and a line with a gradient of minus 1 over 4, they are perpendicular because their gradient are negative reciprocal of each other. What about 2? Well, the gradient will be of the perpendicular line will be minus 1 over 2. This one, we need to flip it and minus it. 5, that is minus 1 over 5. This is very useful information, which simply means if we got a line and we know its gradient, we know the gradient of the line which is perpendicular to it. And that's the whole point. And that's what we're going to use. Okay? So how do we use? Well, suppose that the equation of this one is given, and let us say the equation of this one is, for example, y is 2x minus 2. I know because I draw. Okay, that is the one. And the equation of this one is asked, the blue line, and it's actually given the information which says they are perpendicular, which simply means they make an angle of 90 degrees with each other. So the question is, what is the equation of this line, which is perpendicular to that line, and the intercept is there. So we're going to start the general equation, which says y equals mx plus c. Okay, that's what it is. In this one, for first line, the m for this one, m is 2. Okay, and c is minus 2. For this one, this line here, the blue line there, the c is minus 5. And m is question mark. The question is, can we find the m? Well, because we know that perpendicular lines, one is the negative reciprocal of the other one, I can say the gradient of the blue line, which I'm trying to find, equals to minus 1 over 2. Okay, why? Because the gradient of the line which it's perpendicular to it is 2, so I need to do it. So I know the gradient, I know the intercept, I can put them together. So finally I go y equals minus half x minus 5. And this is the equation of the blue line. How do we use? Well, we know the equation of this one, complete equation, 2x minus 2. Okay, what is the gradient is 2. We may not need the intercept, but just write on the intercept as well. This one, we got half information. We know the intercept, which is 5, minus 5, but we don't know the gradient. Can we find the gradient using the fact that the red line and the blue line are perpendicular? Yes, two perpendicular lines, their gradient are negative reciprocal of each other. So if the gradient of this one is 2, the gradient of the blue line will be minus 1 over 2. And once you know the gradient and the intercept, you can put them together to get your equation. This is the essence of this lesson, that you can use information of two lines which are perpendicular to find the equation of one from the other. Now, I got here 2 questions for you to try. You can stop the video and try them. It says, find the equation of a line that's perpendicular to this line and goes through this point. And the other one says, find the equation of a line that's perpendicular to the line y equals minus 3x and goes through this point. Stop the video and try it. Fine, I think you have tried, so let's do it together. First one first. Okay? This line was the gradient. Well, this line, the gradient is 2. That's all what we need. If that's the case, the line which we are trying to find, so m1, let's say m1 is 2, so m2 must be the negative reciprocal of the, which is this. Now, the line 2 goes through this point. This is actually its intercept, 4. So the intercept is c, call it c2 if you like it, is 4. What is the equation now? Put those two together. That's minus half x plus 4. You may get 3 GCSE marks if you can just do this. And this question is nearly high grade. It's grade 6, something like that. Let us do this one, which is a bit more complicated. Okay? Now, this is the gradient, so that's m1. m1 is minus 3. Can we find m2? Yes, m2 is minus 1 of m1. And because 2 minuses, it becomes plus. Do we know the intercept? No, we don't know. But we know that there's a point that which the graph goes through it, which the line goes through it, this point there. So let's write on general equation and substitute what we know. So this general equation was mx plus c. Okay, do we know m? Yes, we know. That's 1/3 x, so that's plus c, sorry, it's not this, plus c. Plus c. Now we don't know c, but let's use this point here, 2/3, this point. If we use this point, what is 7? 7 is the y. Fill here, 1/3. What is x? X is 2, plus c. Okay, this is 2/3, so if you take to the other side, you find 7 minus 2/3 equals c. Make the denominators the same, let's go 1, so times here by 3, and times here by 3, that gives you 21 minus 2 divided by 3 is your C. Okay, what that gives you? That gives you 19 over 3 is your C. Now we know C, and we know this is our gradient, and this is our C. So this is the line. Okay, that's the equation of the line. Well, this is a bit more complicated than the other one, but it's nothing new. It's nothing new. What we have used is this. What we have used is, and we use the point, we use the gradient from here. We say that it's minus 3, and that's minus 3, M2 must be negative reciprocal, and that gives us this gradient. We fill the gradient here, and we try to find C by using this point here. So we fill 7 there, we'll fill 2, and the rest is rearranging and using arithmetic until you find this equation. That is all about the equation of perpendicular lines. Thank you for watching, and make sure that you complete the worksheet that goes with it, and also make sure that you use the answer sheet to mark your work. Thank you very much, and see you in another interesting lesson.